All right, so welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's been an honor. Just let's put our hands together for them once again. Let's put our hands together for them.
Pastor
This
Patrice.
is amazing.
All of Pastor Patrice. Pastor Mildred seems to have fans in this church.
Yeah, I noticed that
Do we conduct an election? Are you sure you're not going to politics? You have fans here.
too. Okay, so look at the
Tribe
fans
members,
there.
I love you guys.
All right. Okay, so we're going to hear a little from her. So please keep it calm, cool down, relax yourself. So let's hear her say a big hi to everyone in the house.
Good evening, everybody. It is such an honor to be back here. Interestingly, last year I just escorted Pastor Geo. They dragged me up. And so it was such a big honor to be asked to do this again this year. I want to say thank you, Mama and Papa. It's such an honor. And like Pastor K said, he has really been using your name, sir. Because everybody seems to ask whether you are his father. But thank you for all you've done for the kingdom. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, especially the tribe members that are in the house. I know you guys are there. Thank you so much. God bless you, everyone.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. Okay, so we're going straight into the question. Please, we're still expecting you to send in your question. So I have sir, you said something and it jumped at me. You said that men are project-driven. And immediately you said that I'm married. By December, it's going to be 2 years. And so one of the things that I noticed is that while I was, still checking my wife now, we did talk every time, back to back. The conversation was long, and as a matter of fact, we chat deep into the dead of the night. Yes, and I think one of the days we just sat down and we're asking ourselves, as a matter of fact, we've chatted on all social media platforms, from Facebook to WhatsApp to Go to, we're just on every platform. So we have a trademark, we have a footage there. So when you mentioned it that men are driven by project driven, it kind of just speaks to the person that I am immediately. But thank you so much for that, sir. That was amazing. So my question this wonderful evening is, I came across a quote during the week, sir, and it says, when romance is alive and well in a marriage, the door of temptation gets slammed shut. When romance is alive and well in a marriage, the doors of temptation get shut. So my question is, so what is your definition of romance, and how can it be expressed?
Okay. I would describe romance as just keeping the excitement in your relationship. And you see, before a relationship, you have what is called emotional love. It's usually automated. You're not the one that is making it happen. It's happening by itself. After you start a relationship or get married, you now have to move to intentional love. So that's what happens to many people. They started with emotional love, and when they got married and life began to happen, they just thought that this excitement will come by itself. No. At the beginning, the excitement does come by itself, but at the middle, you work it. Then at the end, it now starts flowing again, because you've learned how to make it happen. So you must move from emotional love to intentional love. So many people reach a stage where they say, I need a new spouse. What they mean is that I need a new excitement. So they think I need to go and start a new relationship or marry another person to get that excitement. But no matter who you marry, you will reach a stage where you must be intentional about making each other happy. And that takes knowledge, that takes consistency, that takes being deliberate, to make it continue to happen.
Wow, thank you so much for that, sir. So church, you have to be intentional, you have to be deliberate, and you have to be committed to it. Pastor Nkechi.
Okay, my first question is to Pastor Kingsley. You said maturity is growing up. You said maturity is growing up. Can you hear me now? You said maturity is growing up. What's your definition for growing up as it concerns relationship?
All right. Again, it's a broad spectrum. growing up has to do with your level of self-control, for instance. You know, when you are young, there are a lot of things you do and you blame other people, you blame even devil, you blame your friends. But when you start being mature, the issue is that you are able to take responsibility. You find out that wherever you are in life is strictly your fault. If it's working, it's your fault. If it's not working, it's your fault. So ability to take responsibility is one of it. Ability to control your desires. When you are young, you lack self-control. But as you grow up, you begin to understand that it's not every opportunity or everything that presents itself that you must take. Even if you can take it, it's not all that you must take. So there are a few things like that: maturity, self-control, taking responsibility, making decisions. Your ability to make a decision, because we make decisions like per second. Everything you are wearing today, you have to decide. So you get to the stage where you are able to make wise decisions, not just for today. You see, you're able to make decisions that would affect you 10 years from now, even though 10 years hasn't come. So it's a whole process like that. There are a few things that I dealt with more in a broader way, in the book, but it'll help you maturity.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
What if all of this is ticked and you get into the relationship and maybe you end up in marriage and everything that you saw before getting into the relationship
it's
disappears?
not how it's.
Yes, so what do you do?
That's another good question. It's a common question I get, because a lot of people try to make it look like, oh, marriage is like a box. You don't know what's inside. You're just going inside. That's not really true. It's dangerous. You can go and carry a box and there's a snake inside. So I have a message I titled the 7 checkpoints. There are 7 checkpoints, like a road. When military people or police want to make sure somebody doesn't infiltrate, they put checkpoints. So as a believer, before you marry somebody, there are about 7 checkpoints you must do. Number 1 is things like their spirituality checkpoints. Is this person, do they love God? With or without me? Do they have a relationship with God? So that's one checkpoint. Second checkpoint is things like your friendship checkpoints. Before you marry somebody, please take time to be friends. What happens to young people is that you are either in a relationship or you are not in their life. There's no middle line for them. I'm either dating you or I'm hating you. So, but where you know people is when there's nothing at stake. Once you put romance in, therefore this acting movie. Let's just be friends. Just talk. How are you? What do you do with your life? Remove me from the picture. Just talk about yourself. So there's the friendship checkpoint. There's the prayer checkpoint. People don't pray again. They just say, I like this girl. I want to marry her. I like this boy. No. Have you taken it to God? There's the counsel checkpoint. They said in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So there are about 7 of them. If you follow, nobody can beat this whole 7. There is the time checkpoint. Give it time. Don't just meet on Monday and marry on Wednesday. There's a time checkpoint. So if you follow these 7 checkpoints, it's difficult, it's rare, almost impossible for the person to beat all these whole 7 checkpoints and marry. Most time what happens is that love is blind. You are excited. The signs are there. They are showing you red flag, but you're using the red flag to show Ashebi. So you're not seeing it.
Thank you so much, sir. Also, Pastor Mildred, I would like as a church, we would like to also know from your perspective, what were your experience going through this checkpoint? Your personal experience going through this checkpoint.
Okay, because we were friends for a long time. Well, I mean, we're friends. So we didn't start off as we were in a relationship. So the first thing that happened, because it was my friend, was I let my guard down. And you must remember that I was in a relationship. So he was my friend. There was nothing romantic. So I saw him being a Christian. I saw him. In fact, one of the days I went to his church to be sure whether he's a real pastor. I went secretly, I snuck in at the back, just to be sure that this man is not teaching error, And that was not, we're not in a relationship, we're just friends. But because we went to secondary school together, and I knew him back then as a bad boy, I wanted to be sure that he was not using church to now, you understand, to just, there are other things happening on that, And if you have the Spirit of God, the truth is that deep calls to deep. You will know when somebody is a true child of God. You will know your brother and your sister. Something inside you will connect with that person. So I knew that he was, a Christian. I knew that there had been a change. There was a clear transformation. Once he was blind, now he could see. It was very clear. I also found out that he was the kind of person that would go out of his way to do things for people, not for me, for everyone. He was just generally a kind person, always looking out for people. He was a listener. So there were things like that. Then, when we now got into the point where I felt that this was what God was saying, of course I took my time to pray. And I think that anytime I teach on relationship, that's my strongest point, the God factor. God must put his stamp on it. I know these days people have this old compatibility test, this test, that test. But the truth is, somebody can be good, but are they good for you? True. You must be able to check, is this person going where I'm going? And so the guy I was dating before, we had dated for 5 years. We had done introduction. But until you get to that altar and say, I do, you do not do. So I knew that until God had put a final approval, I wasn't moving forward. Did I cry? Yes. Did it pain me? Yes. But I knew that whatever God is offering you is always better than what you are holding on to. So when God said, it's not this one, I knew, like I knew my name, that there was something I needed to pay attention to. So I prayed. I spent time praying. But beyond that, I also went for counsel. I spoke to my pastor at the time, and they counseled me that if this is what God is saying, would you rather just want to feel good and disobey God? Or are you seeing your future? Do you know if God has mapped out your life and God is saying this person is not going your way? Do you want to disobey God? So they were able to help me answer those questions. And interestingly, we had this commitment to each other that if at any point we feel like we made a mistake hearing God, if we've not taken our vows, we'll back down. He kept saying it to me that even on that day, if they ask me, do you take this girl? And I sense in my heart that I should not take you, I will turn back. And you will not be angry. So both of us had that agreement. So of course we went through all of those checkpoints. And I think, like I said, the loudest voice for me in all of that journey was God. Because for me, I think that's the most important person in my life. At first, my parents were not in support. But I knew that if God was in support, that God would make them see the light. And that's exactly what happened. And today, of course, is their baby. My mom calls him my baby. So I literally went through everything. But like I said, God first. God more important than anyone else.
Sorry. Let's put our hands together for her. Church, we're still waiting for your question. So if you have your question, just write it and hand it over to the usher. And an online audience as well, we're expecting questions from you. Media team, we would like you to help us with questions from our YouTube audience and Facebook audiences as well, so that we can take the questions. So Pastor Nkechi, over to you.
Okay, Pastor Mildred, I've heard you preach to the point that you land on blogs. I know you land on blogs, different blogs. I know you're a strong personality. So as a strong personality, did you feel the need to lower your standards so to attract the right African man, in quotes?
Okay. In fact, I always have this conversation with Pastor K. I find it very funny that people say I'm a strong personality. I don't know if I'm a strong personality. I just think I'm very vocal about the way I believe God. I'm very vocal about the word of God. And because these days, people have very low standards, that's why it seems as if I'm a strong personality. I don't think so. We've had this conversation many times. But I'm very strong. If God says something, I will shout it. I don't really care who's listening. If God says it, I will follow through. But any other thing, I don't think so. But I don't know about lowering my standards. I wanted what God wanted for me. I knew that there was ministry in my path. I also knew that God wanted me to have a man who would make it easy for me to serve him. My standards, those days, my standards were not necessarily even godly. So let me even take it from that perspective. So there were certain things I didn't want. Number one, interestingly, I didn't want to marry a pastor. These were the things I told God. I would do anything, but don't give me a pastor. Because I understood the sacrifices that it would require. I have seen pastors' wives, and I know the sacrifice, the prayer, the always understanding that whether you like it or not, the church, to a large extent, may always come before you. I also knew that I needed to be extremely selfless and accommodating. And I'm a very private person. So that meant that I would open my life to more people. If you're a pastor, you live in a glass house. If you're married to a pastor, there's no example of limits. You can have a conversation with your husband, next thing you're preaching. So my wife just said, and I'm like, oh, Gammy, are you just talking inside also? Why are you using me for example? So, I had all those things. Secondly, I didn't want to marry a man that was hairy. I am hairy. I was pitying my children. I didn't want them to go through that. I didn't want to marry an Igbo man. So you see, that's why I said that they were not necessarily godly. They were just things I like. It's the same way some people want tall, dark, handsome. Which scripture is that?